to kind of peel yourself away from that outside world that is not going to have any answers for you. They're going to have a lot of suggestions for you, but they're not the answers you're looking for. If you close your eyes, you feel dizzy, you can always just shut your Roman shades down a little bit more so that the pupils are slightly covered. And this is a great place to set your intention. And in yoga teacher training, the last class that we had yoga teacher trainers in, my friend of mine, Diane Bly, was in it. And 3 months into the training, you're to write a letter to yourself in the future. So all the teacher trainers wrote a letter to themselves in the future, kind of an intention of how 1 year is to span out. And her husband came over. If you know Diane, they got hit by a truck, a semi-truck, and she didn't survive. But the golden retriever in the back seat and her husband, who was driving, survived. And so I gave him that letter because she didn't survive. And she wrote a letter to herself, and I just gave it to him and said, this is what she said to herself a year later. So write a little letter to yourself an hour from now. Just pen a little note in your head. Pretty powerful stuff. If you could have been told by someone in your school, write a letter to yourself when you're going to be in a yoga class in another 10, 20, 30 years. What would you want to say? And so this is now you writing for 1 hour from now. One thing I know that probably no one has in their letter is, you're going to be the best if you can just get your hamstrings a little bit longer. Or if you can stand on your one leg for longer than anyone else in the room, you're going to be better. And the one thing that I want to have us practice, is why I'm having you sitting upright, is to be present, to be right here, right now, paying attention on purpose. And we're going to practice that over and over and over again. It's kind of like how you always do dishes or how you drive here. You always take the same, it's the same thing. And you pass by miracles the whole time. Washing a dish. Just ask Diane Bly how miraculous it is to wash a dish. Or sit upright. We kind of take it for granted, this moment. that you're experiencing, but also notice how the moments just keep slipping by. And in another 10 minutes, you're going to look back on this very fondly, because we're probably going to be doing something that you might even say you enjoy more, which will be a problem, because then there'll be something you don't enjoy, or you'll enjoy it less, and you'll be pining for this. So it's always going to be this roller coaster ride. So just stay with your breath, which is happening now in the moment. Breathe deeply. And you'll know why. As soon as you start breathing deeply, you'll know why I asked you to do that. It anchors you. Just watch it anchor you. Watch yourself take off with your thoughts. And they're like, wait, breathe deeply. It's going to take focus and concentration. Dharana, it's the first level of meditation. So welcome to the first level of meditation. We can all try to do that. And I promise you, you'll benefit by concentrating on this moment. Now, as I promised, we're going to start adding movements onto what you're practicing, which is meditation. So we can actually call every movement an asana. Because from this calm place, breathing deep makes you calmer. You might have noticed that. You take a deep breath when you're sighing. It's your body saving you. Come on, just be here. Everything's okay. Scooch forward a little bit on the chair. Those are for those people that need to get their feet flat on the ground. If they're flat on the ground already, just ignore that suggestion. Let the arms kind of drop heavy from the shoulders. Notice you're still sitting up tall. Press down into your sit bones so you can sit up a little taller. Those are your muscles that you're using to be here. On an inhale, lift your arms. Maybe one goes, maybe both goes. They're going to be different to the sky. And when you exhale, let the arms go back down. But go slowly, like you're feeling muscles moving the bones at the shoulder joint. Inhale, arms reach. Maybe you feel the ribs lift up away from your hips. Exhale, arms back down at your side. Last inhale here. Maybe you even lean back a little bit and open up that tension in your chest. Exhale from the hips. Hinge over the flesh of your thighs. Just let your chest drop. Let your head drop, exposing some of that tension in the back of the neck. Let your eyeballs drop forward. Maybe if the eyelids were closed, you can feel the weight of your eyelids press against your inner eyelids. Let your tongue relax, face soften, but breath is still deep. Last exhale here, and on an inhale, I want you to just bring your hands up to the sides of your shins and come halfway up. This is called halfway lift. And on an exhale, go back to fold, fold forward, let it go. Halfway lift again. Hands to shins, press the shins out and the hands press in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up, stay here. So if you press into the shins, you can actually feel the tension, the tonicity of the muscles around like your shoulder blades, your upper middle back, the posture muscles. Maybe you can even roll your shoulders and take that shoulder blade left and right side down your back into your back pockets. Tuck your chin in so you're trying to create length in your spine from your tailbone to your head bone. And because you're halfway lifted with your spine, it's at an angle, pull your belly in to support your spine. Anytime in your life you're like bending over to get something, you engage your core. But relax your jaw. I'm trying to do something, but I'm not trying to be so reactive to what I'm doing. I'm just feeling my way through. If you want to add more, bring your arms out like wings. If that feels like it's too much for your spine, put your hands back on your legs. If you want to add more to this, bring both arms maybe overhead. That's adding weight to the spine muscles. Maybe you bend the elbows and not add so much arm weight. I don't know, somewhere in this class, you find you get very creative. And maybe that's one of the things that you wanted to write or did write in your intention to yourself. Thank you for being creative with this very generic class. Last big inhale here. On an exhale, release everything full. Finish this exhale completely. And on an inhale, sit all the way up. All the way up, belly in. Reach maybe up, maybe stretch back, spinal extension. And then come to neutral spine. Turn your belly button to the right and let your arms drop down. Let's move dynamically here first. This is turning the spine, so lift up anytime you're twisting and trying to back out of the driveway. Get a tall spine before then just letting the arms relax. So the inhale goes up, ribs up, maybe arms up, maybe eyes up. Turn, turn, and then drop down. And then inhale to the other side. And exhale, settle in to the twist. Back to the center, neutral, arms spread, reach way up there. Bend forward halfway. Remember, halfway lift. Arms can go any place that feels comfortable. Scoot your feet back. Scoot your hips forward. Feet are flat on the ground. Legs are strong. As if you're preparing to stand on your legs, you need the muscles in your legs. So start squeezing the muscles from your toenails up to your hips. And then lift your hips away from the chair without making a face. It's called chair pose. Breathe. Breathe. See, I got more active. That was pretty quickly, got active, but I stayed with my deep breathing. Find an exhale here and an inhale. Press your knees straight. Reach to the sky. And when you're exhaling, bend those knees again back to chair pose. And this time, lift your left foot away from the ground. And then put it back on the ground. Because that felt like wobbling, didn't it? All right, lift your right foot away from the ground. This is wobble asana. Calmly, I do what I can do and leave the rest behind, both feet down. Let's try that again. Each foot, left foot, and down. And right foot, and down. Stay here. Bend those knees a little more. And then away from the earth, press away to the sky. Reach. And then hands to heart center. Notice your heart. That muscle right back there is beating more. I love how the body loves to be challenged. Your heart loves to be challenged. That's called a little cardio. And your heart just says, I gotcha. You don't have to figure out just how much blood flow you need to those quadriceps. It worked. Inhale, sweep the arms to the sky. Bend those knees again. Lift your left foot up with an inhale. Exhale, put your left foot down. Keep those knees bent. Inhale, lift your right foot up. And then put your right foot down. On the next inhale, lift both feet up away from the ground. And then put both feet back on the ground. And then stand up on those 2 feet. Oh, only Diane can do that, by the way, and Rita. All right, both hands to the heart. Both hands to the heart. They were laughing at us. We're like, I can't. I'm like, well, I can. All right, let's take a walk to the back of the chair with that heart beating, that smile on our face. Hands to the chair, step back, downward dog. So that's nice. Here's an opportunity to do something you just did. You had your arms overhead. Now you have your hands on something solid. And you can feel the stretch as you start to drop your chest towards the ground between your shoulders. Some of you are already feeling like, well, my one shoulder is tighter than the other. There's obvious reasons why. It's just tighter. I don't know, but you do. I mean, there's, maybe you just got a letter from someone with information you didn't want to hear. Don't you think that makes you tighter? I mean, surgery makes you tighter. Having it warm might make it feel like it's looser on one side. How much water you drank this morning. A myriad of things that are affecting you. You just have to be willing to turn on that news, because it's always new. That's why they call it news. It's always the truth, and it's always new. That's what you got coming at you. Start listening in. Take a deep breath in through the nose or mouth, whatever is comfortable. Exhale completely, maybe soften a little bit more. Let's try that again. Inhale, fill up so your ribs move away from your hips, lengthen. Exhale, soften, soften. And then step up with your right foot right behind the chair. Spin your back foot flat. Bend your right knee, but keep pressing into your back foot as you start to use your legs to support this pose. Even though they're both, forward and back to the mat, they're still flat on the ground. From that, you grow your pose. So grow from the ground up. And if you want, maybe you can even lift up the arms. It's called Warrior One. You can have the arm bent, chest open. Maybe you lean back a little bit. Be careful leaning back. You want to lean against that strut. Like put more cowbell into your left leg. Or like a lot more. Close your eyes and know what a lot more means. Because when you lean back, you're leaning against that leg for support. Last inhale, maybe the fingertips touch the back wall, which is 0% of you, but everyone tries to get a little bit of openness across the chest. And then both hands back to the chair, back to downward dog. Step that right foot back. How you doing? How's that letter that you wrote? Stay connected, stay connected. This is your class. This is not my class. This is this moment. It's not the moment before. You're not the same as a moment before. You never will be. Together in breath. As a community, together, out breath. We're all in this. In breath, even though everyone's doing something so different physically outside, you're all practicing yoga. Exhale, empty out. Left foot is going to lift up and step right behind the chair. Back foot's going to go flat. Warrior One just means the arms, chest, something lifts up, but you sink down as you bend into that front knee. Bending into the front knee, if you've ever been in a leg press machine at a gym, your foot's on this pad and you're pressing weight. You're pressing your body weight with your left glute. So that's cool. You don't need any more than your body weight to press. Your back leg is stretching. You probably feel the stretch from the outer pinky edge of your right foot all the way up to your right glute. You can feel some of those internal ligaments and tendons as you maybe steer your right hip a little more forward. Left hip goes a little more back, like you got a school bus steering wheel. Shoulders soft, shoulder blades down your back, fingers wide, plugged up into the sky, maybe leaning back a little bit, open up. And take the next 5 seconds and soften something that doesn't need to be that strong. Like maybe your perfectionism. Like be creative. Creative means not perfect. I showed up and I'm pretending. Not pretending, I am. Everything's okay. And I'm pretending that nothing else matters at this moment. Both hands to the chair. Step that left foot back and find your way to Warrior One on the right side again. Maybe you take a few breaths here. Eventually it's Warrior One. Be in no rush. Notice some of the change that might have taken place. Warrior Two is going to be an exhale. You glide into Warrior Two. That means your torso just turned to the left, but your right knee stayed solid where your right toes are pointing. So there's a nice little stretch in the adductor muscles, the inner left knee to groin. There's a stretch. There's a stretch across the sternum plate as the arms go wide. There's a weight to your arms now as your deltoids. Just like you did a leg press machine, here's your deltoids lifting the weight of your arms. That's all you need. If you did this every day of your life, just held your arms like this for a little bit, you would never atrophy the deltoids. You don't have to make your deltoids bigger than your head. But some gyms, they make it's pretty, this is important. Make them bigger. When is enough enough? Reverse your warrior with an inhale. I don't know if I did this on the other side. Right arm up, left arm down. Oh, we didn't do that. And then both hands to the chair, downward dog. Let's go to the left side, warrior one. And then notice there's no line between warrior one and warrior two. Go to warrior one, and then see, you can almost just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in two, and I was in one, and I don't know when it changed. Like the more mature the practice gets, the more the meditation doesn't change. The postures look like they're changing all the time, but my meditation stays on point. I am paying attention in between poses. So there's never any in between poses. Like there's no in between meditation. I'm just always here. Reverse your warrior when you're ready. Just come swooping around. And then back to downward facing dog. It's hard. You want to actually just get up and leave at this point. Go get a cup of coffee, this whole paying attention. Coffee makes me pay attention. Wakes me up. Really, do we need something exogenous to wake us up all the time? Breathe, be here. Deep breath in through the nose. Long breath out through the nose if possible. Right foot is going to step, warrior one. Your exhale is warrior two. Feel all that stuff. You don't have to pay attention too much. You start to feel it. It's all working. Reverse your warrior. Your heart's beating. Your pancreas is doing something. Both hands to the chair, downward facing dog. Left foot is going to step. Warrior one to two to reverse warrior. Moving and flowing, flowing and breathing. Skipping poses because it makes sense. Because you're the only one that feels that this should be healing everything you're doing. Warrior one on the right side to warrior two. And once you get to reverse warrior, stay there. Stay in reverse warrior, which is that right arm up, left arm down. Right knee is bending. And then we're going to change the lower body. Keep the upper body from the belt line up to your fingers. Keep that solid. Start to straighten that front knee for triangle pose. So all we're going to do with triangle pose is you make the legs triangle shape. Now come back to warrior two, arms horizontal. And now we're going to lean forward, halfway lift, but it's going to be to the side. So you go halfway or whatever way until you feel the stretch. Usually tighter hipped people feel the stretch in their inner right groin pretty soon. Try to keep your nipples facing the wall that they're facing. So that kind of opens up your left chest. Reach with the right arm to the front wall until you feel the stretch in your right hip. When it's felt, then put that right hand down. Maybe the chair's right there. Or maybe the right hand on your right thigh, left arm to the sky. If you want to work the muscles of your side body, the side of the torso, you can let that right arm dangle. And then if you want to add leverage, reach the right arm overhead, and if you want, the left arm overhead. So you'll start to feel, maybe that you bend the elbow so it's not as much. If I grab those phones that were ringing and I start taking pictures of you and send it back to your loved ones, they should know that you are in a yoga class, not in a contortion class. Right? I'm just trying to pick and choose. I'm trying to follow that letter I wrote to myself. Maybe it was be gentle, be patient, learn kindness. I'm always doing it to everyone else. Why don't I learn it to myself? Spread the arms wide if you did take them overhead, and come swooping back to warrior two, and then all the way through, just as an end, reverse your warrior, right arm up, left arm down, front knee bends, and then both hands to the chair, back, downward facing dog, left foot steps, warrior one, easy, easy, easy. Remember warrior two, it's almost imperceptible when you change poses now. Reverse your warrior and stay in this reverse warrior till it's comfortable, and then start to straighten that front knee until it's comfortable. Notice your chest is facing the wall now to the right side of your room. Spread the arms back to warrior two. They're horizontal to the ground. And now start to lean your chest over your left thigh bone, like you're just starting to get in there. You start to get in there, and then you ask your partner, how's this doing? Right, lower body stretch. And then if you want to use the upper body to add leverage, some people like to work their core muscles because they support their spine. Some people like to just work the legs. Right now, some people like to just stand in mountain pose and wait for the next pose because this doesn't make sense. It all should be something you enjoy. Maybe that's something you wrote in the letter. Enjoy your life because it's so short. It doesn't make any sense to not enjoy what you're doing. It's almost insane that the things people will do in a yoga class and then they never come back because they hurt themselves and they blame yoga. This is the proving ground. This is like this is a silly pose. I'm practicing being present, taking care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, maybe even spiritually. Start reversing your warrior. Just notice the blend. How you use, like even your breath can help blend one pose to the next. Left arm goes up, right arm goes down. Open up left ribs. And then the exhale brings you back to home base, downward dog. Hands on the chair, step your feet back. Drop your chest down. Let blood flow into your brain. Inhale. Exhale. In and out. Right foot steps, warrior one. Inhale. When you start exhaling, float into warrior two effortlessly. Stay with warrior two legs. Reverse your warrior here. Keep warrior two legs. Come back to center. This time, that halfway lift, but instead of a straight right leg, now your right knee stays bent, and maybe your right hand, right forearm goes to the chair, left arm up in the sky. So what we just did, using leverage, you just added more weight onto your right bent leg. So your right glute muscle starting to feel maybe some heat. Isn't that cool? When you start feeling blood flowing into body parts. If you don't want to lean, you obviously can still do that torso workout. Maybe the other triangle pose is too much, but here you can have one or both arms reaching. Maybe you can take one arm behind your back, use the biggest prop in the room besides your chair and the ground, and that is gravity. Breathe. slowly start to spread the arms wide and reverse your warrior. Come swooping all the way around. And then downward facing dog, hands to the ground, chair, step back, downward dog, right foot, warrior one. Here we go to warrior two. Not to speed anything up, but we've already been in this a half an hour. So how's your practice going? Reverse. And then stay warrior two legs. So below the belt line, nothing changes. You just start to move above the belt line and add weight. So you're adding weight. You can take some of the weight off by leaning onto the chair with your hand or forearm, or maybe you don't lean. So the weight is now, you're taking it through the side torso muscles. You can add the arms to add more weight, less weight, bend the elbow, drop that right arm back. But breathing. I'm not trying to get anywhere. I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just trying to touch myself in every way I can, in the gentlest, most patient, most loving, most kind way. Maybe I wrote that in my letter. Some of those attributes that we find so endearing in others. Maybe I need to practice it with myself. Spread the arms wide, keep those legs strong, and swoop all the way around. So that back arm goes down, that front arm goes up, like arms of a cuckoo clock making 12:30. And then both hands to the chair, back to downward dog. Right foot steps, warrior one. It's like taking the same road to work. Like, oh yeah, I remember this. 1, 2, reverse, blah, blah, blah. Reverse, and then go to half moon. From reverse warrior, half moon. That means you're going to be balancing on your front leg and lifting your back leg, maybe up in the air. The front knee is straightish, but maybe you bend it a little bit because that accesses the muscles. Maybe you learn to hold on to the chair with both. You can hold on with the left hand and the right hand can be propped on the chair. Or maybe you lift that left arm in the air, and maybe you lift that right hand away from the chair so that a postcard or a letter that you wrote to yourself can slide underneath your right hand. The one that said, stop following what other people are doing. Sometimes they don't have the answer for you. You have got the answer for you for what this pose should be. If you are holding your breath or making a face, please be strong enough to change it. Maybe go back to downward dog. You know we kind of go back there, don't you? It's a nice place to go. When things get a little bit ramped up. If you're still with us in half moon, start to bend that front knee like you're going to do a warrior two legs. And then start warrior two, way at the back, a landing pad. Land your left foot, gentle, and come swooping, reverse your warrior. Easy, easy, just swooping through different poses, back to the doghouse you go. And then the left side, warrior one, warrior two, reverse your warrior, half moon. It's really like, I really want to spend some time in warrior two. Because maybe you don't like half moon, but sometimes it's like a person you have to listen to. I don't know, you have to listen to them. You don't like what they're saying, but you probably should listen. If you're going to hear some stuff that you don't like to hear in life, it doesn't have to change you inside. You're still in there breathing deeply. I mean, listen, I can lean onto the left hand. I'm leaning on my left hip, building up some bone mineral density where my left hip meets my left femur bone. I get creative. Maybe I come out early, or maybe I take that top arm over my ear and I take the other arm and I reach it over my ear. Maybe both arms stretch. That's so silly, isn't it? I mean, the pose just keeps going. When is enough where you're like, can I practice calmness here? I'm not even going to look to see what anyone else is doing. For 5, 4, 3, 2, slowly make your way to reverse warrior. Land your right foot way back there. Bend that left knee. Left arm goes swooping. You take a deep breath in, and when you're exhaling out, both hands to the chair. You made it to downward facing. Oh. I'm not doing it perfectly, but I'm showing up and I'm calm. Take a walk to the chair and turn so you're facing the wall to the right. You don't have to move the chair, just turn so that the chair's on your left side. And hold on with your left fingers just to make certain the chair didn't move, just you. And then bend your right knee in toward your chest. And then take that right knee over to the right. And maybe you wrap your right palm around your knee bone. Flex your right foot. Keep that right knee open to the right. A lot of muscle. Starch up your left leg. And then take your eyeballs over to the left. And maybe you reach your left hand to where your eyeballs just went to. Which means you're going to be the one wobbling and practicing being calm when you had to come out of the pose. And even harder, listen to this one, making falling out of the pose more powerful, you begin again. You just begin again without all that, oh, I suck stuff. Without that. It's a practice. I know, usually outside we're like, I suck. See, I'm not even going to try anymore. Just try to not say that. Maybe that was in your letter. You don't suck. We have to keep reminding ourselves. All right, take it back down the center. Maybe hold on to the chair to take it back to the center. Keep that right knee where it is. Remember, from the hips, bend forward like you're hinging. Forward at the hips. And that right foot, the knee straightens out and the right foot goes way back behind you. Arms out like wings. This is the turkey vulture of Grand Island. They're just soaring. They don't care how they look. They're soaring. I'm sorry you can't soar like a turkey vulture, but this is all we got. All right, it's kind of warm up here, or maybe it's cooler. The back of my neck is long. I'm looking for lunch. They're looking for lunch. Last inhale here. Ready? Stand on your 2 feet and bring your arms down. I mean, this is another great pose called Tadasana. Equal in intensity to every other pose. Can I stand on my 2 feet and be completely enthralled with my deep breathing? I really do think there is no AC on. That's just something else to complain about. Just so you know, Diane wished she could complain that it was so hot out. Or Rita. I remember one time Rita said, if this is hell, at least I'm getting used to it. And I wrote that down. I said, Rita, can I write that down? I love that statement. 90 years old. If this is hell, all right, let's turn and try this on the other side. So turn your body to the other, so the chair's on your right. Make sure it didn't move. All right, ask your partner how you're doing. If you're exhausted and the heat is affecting you, maybe you opt out on this side. Or you don't go as far as you keep pushing yourself. Knowing that things are affecting you that you can't control, like the weather cannot be controlled. We can control it in here and I'll figure out what's going on, but Right now, we can't control it. So bend your left knee and take that left knee over to the left. Maybe cup the knee with your left hand or cup underneath the thigh bone. And then start making weird sounds with your breath, like Darth Vader. I know it's weird, but we're all doing this together. And what I want you to do with that weird breathing is walk your eyeballs over to the right and maybe lift your right hand away from the chair 1 millimeter so that letter can slip underneath just so your letter can be right underneath your right palm. And maybe you said something like, hey, things are going to get a little rocky. Breathe anyway. Be calm. You don't have to do it all. Even though the body likes a challenge, it hates to be abused. Balance is a mind thing. Even though it looks physical, I'm trying to stay in control of my mind, even though my body feels like it's falling apart all over the place. Take it back down the center, maybe hold on to the chair. All of this you can be holding onto the chair, by the way. And then turkey vulture pose. Bend from the hips forward. Send your tail feathers back. Send your chest forward, maybe even upward. Remember the weight of the arms working the rear deltoids. Maybe that left arm goes to the left, right arm to the right. Maybe I tried a little bit and then it feels like, okay, I think that's enough because I just broke my toe or something. I don't know. Breathe. Every pose your great-great-grandmother could do. This is a simple pose. You probably will do this pose again in your life. It's called slipping on ice. Last big inhale here, and we're out. Step down, both feet down. Done. Back to that mountain pose. Mountain. Shoulders can be soft. They don't have to be so close to your earlobes. My chest can be a little bit taller because I'm breathing in. My knees can be a little softer so I can access the muscles of my legs to support me in this pose. My fingers can drip from my hands. I don't have to be gripping so much here. It's like I'm economizing my own energy in every single pose. It's funny, in mountain pose, I'm standing in line at tops, and my jaw is super tight, and my hands are gripping my money, like, my gosh. And you want to hold on, but when is enough enough? Soften something. Turn towards the front of the room, and on an inhale, just reach your arms to the sky. And bring your hands back to your heart center. That muscle that keeps on pumping. Inhale, circle up. And hands to your heart. In breath, be creative. Out breath. Back to mountain pose. We're going to sit on the chair for the remainder of the class. On your way there, if it makes sense to maybe grab some water with the weather that it is, staying hydrated. Maybe even just sending out a little appreciation that your sweat glands are working. Like, oh, there they are. Thank you. Phew. All right, scooch forward, feet are flat. So we stood on one leg for a while, if you remember that. We stood half moon and then turkey vulture pose. You know, it's a lot of standing on one leg. So let's stretch a leg. Stretch at the hip. Bend at the right knee, so the right knee goes up toward your chest. Flex and point, so you know the difference between a pointed foot and a flexed foot. Keep a foot flexed. Keep the knee bent, and now you're not going to move the knee cap down to the toes. Nothing's going to move. You're just going to turn your right thigh bone in the socket joint. And it looks like, my gosh, but my shin is moving. It's not moving. It just is attached to your thigh, so it has to move. If you want, you can rest ankle on ankle or press foot, right foot against inseam of left. You're still externally rotated. If you have ankle on something, try not to be too proud of that. That just means you had to go further to feel the same thing. That's all. And if you don't feel it, just lift your right shin bone and place it gently behind your neck. Those are the looser people. They literally have to look like that. But their letter to themselves didn't say, as soon as you do that, you can say your life is over. You have reached the epitome. You are a sentient being. Kundalini is now running through your veins. Nothing. Don't give your power away. Stay inside. That's just your ego trying to take you away on some journey. Or I love the acronym that Wayne Dyer used. Ego is edging God out. Like, I am better than someone else because I can do it a different way than someone. Just smile. Just come back to your breathing. Find your power, find your center, and you'll know exactly how to be in this pose. Slowly unfurl the leg, the foot goes down, right foot down, maybe a nice little moving stretch, dynamically getting that hip joint. And make your way to the other side. Remember, you're not going to be moving your left shin bone at all. You're not moving your left shin bone. You're moving your left thigh bone, and then you find a place, and then you practice yoga. That place is somewhere between too much and not enough. And you can ask me where that is on you, and I would not have one clue. You could ask a doctor to do an MRI machine of your thigh right now and say, is this the place I should be? They would probably pretend and maybe even charge you $200. But you're the most amazing machine. You know exactly when it's too much. You start holding your breath. It's a force. Just think of any relationship in your life that has responded very positively to not asking any questions at all, just forcing your way in. Maybe that's something you wrote in the letter. Ask lots of questions. Be a consistent and constant learner. Don't think because you graduated from yoga teacher training that you know it all. I find the more you know what you don't know. It's very humbling. So here you should be asking your left hip, how are you doing? How am I being with you? Am I okay here? Notice how your hip responds so kindly to you because you're actually intrigued. Slowly bring your spine back up if you leaned. Uncross if you crossed. Both feet should eventually be flat. Wobble back and forth. Hands on or near the knee bones, a few cat-cows. Be creative here. Cat, just think of cats. Soon we'll have cat yoga. You'll see them arch. And we will never have cow yoga. So there's that spinal column that you were strengthening and stretching. Maybe move up to the shoulders and kind of rotate the shoulders around. Be gentle, be gentle. Maybe the neck, kind of rotate the neck around a little bit. Again, very gentle. Our neck is hypermobile. You just want to, any kinks, any places we're holding. Find your way to Shavasana pose. Unless there's something else you want to do, like a handstand, your final exit. Maybe like, I always wanted to. But finally settle in 1 hour later. A short amount of time, 1 hour later, you just let your body go where it goes. Maybe you can, in this corpse, you can actually, I want to be it this way. I want to really make it a certain way. Some corpses you're never going to be able to be very creative. So maybe this is a nice practice. Take the next 30 seconds, wiggle about, kind of, maybe your spine is erect still. You can let that go. Let the erector spinae just melt. Let your jaw muscles just melt. Let your hip muscles and bones and ligaments. And then very quietly, open up that letter you wrote to yourself 1 hour ago. Now, just because it's the end of class, it has no bearing on whether you need to move quickly or not. I'm sure there's some reasons to move quickly, but there's probably just equal amounts saying I should not move quickly because you just created this. Maybe before you start moving, if you'd like, just pen another short little note to yourself that you're going to read at the end of today. And now that you've practiced in a controlled environment, you're going to go through a lot of different poses, if you will. And your practice becomes very practical. Enjoy reading your letter tonight. Namaste. So if you can bring your chairs into the closet now, I give them a nice spray down like a horse going into the stall. I missed it. Yeah. Yeah. But he's kind of done. He went through all the legal stuff.